The notification sound from my productivity tracking app chimed softly at 11:47 p.m. as I finally closed my laptop in the cramped studio apartment I called home in downtown Portland. Another 14-hour day logged automatically, bringing my weekly total to 73 hours by Thursday night. I stared at the glowing screen displaying neat charts and graphs that documented every minute of my professional life, wondering if anyone would ever truly understand the sacrifice behind those numbers. My manager, David Chen, had questioned my commitment to the company just 3 days earlier during what was supposed to be a routine performance review, suggesting that perhaps I wasn't quite ready for the senior analyst position that had opened up in our financial consulting firm. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. His words still echoed in my mind as I prepared for bed, the sting of his doubt about my dedication feeling particularly sharp given the countless hours I'd been pouring into every project that crossed my desk. The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of Morrison Associates Financial Consulting as I settled into my workstation at 6:30 a.m., a full hour and a half before the official start time. The office building hummed with the quiet energy of early morning preparation, cleaning crews finishing their overnight work, while security guards completed their final rounds before the business day officially began. I had always been an early riser, but the past 6 months at Morrison Associates had transformed my natural inclination toward punctuality into something approaching obsession with demonstrating professional commitment through visible dedication and measurable results. The financial consulting industry demanded precision, analytical thinking, and an almost supernatural ability to transform complex data into actionable business insights that could guide million-dollar investment decisions for our corporate clients. My journey to Morrison Associates had been anything but conventional, starting with a degree in mathematics from Portland State University, where I'd discovered an unexpected passion for statistical analysis and financial modeling during my junior year. The transition from abstract mathematical theory to practical business applications had required additional coursework in finance and economics, supplemented by countless hours of self-directed learning about investment strategies, market analysis, and corporate financial planning that would prove essential for success in the consulting world. After graduation, I'd spent 2 years at a smaller regional firm gaining experience with client relationship management and project coordination before landing the analyst position at Morrison Associates, one of the Pacific Northwest's most respected financial consulting firms, with an impressive client roster that included Fortune 500 companies and emerging technology startups throughout the region. The learning curve at Morrison Associates had been steep from my first day, requiring mastery of sophisticated financial modeling software, comprehensive understanding of regulatory compliance requirements, and development of presentation skills that could effectively communicate complex analytical findings to clients who expected both technical accuracy and strategic insight from their consulting relationships. My colleagues were uniformly brilliant, holding advanced degrees from prestigious universities, and bringing years of experience from major financial institutions, investment banks, and corporate finance departments that had prepared them for the demanding analytical work that defined our daily responsibilities. The competitive environment pushed everyone to perform at their highest level, but it also created pressure to demonstrate value through visible contribution and measurable results that could justify the substantial fees our clients paid for our services. David Chen had joined Morrison Associates as department manager 18 months earlier, bringing impressive credentials from his previous position as a senior director at Goldman Sachs, where he'd specialized in mergers and acquisitions consulting for technology companies throughout the western United States. His analytical skills were undeniable, and his track record of successful client relationships had earned him rapid advancement within our organization. But his management style emphasized traditional markers of professional commitment that sometimes seemed disconnected from the actual quality and impact of individual contributions to team success. David's expectations for his department focused heavily on face time, visible engagement during office hours, and participation in after-work social activities that he viewed as essential for building the collaborative relationships necessary for effective team performance in high-pressure consulting environments. The tension between David's management philosophy and my work approach had been building gradually over the months, creating subtle friction that became more pronounced as my analytical contributions to major client projects began receiving recognition from senior leadership and positive feedback from clients who appreciated the thoroughness and creativity of my research and recommendations. My preferred working style involved intense focus during core business hours, supplemented by additional research and analysis during early morning and evening hours, when the office environment was quieter and more conducive to the kind of deep analytical thinking that produced breakthrough insights for complex financial challenges. This approach had consistently delivered exceptional results for my assigned projects, but it also meant that my visible presence during traditional office social interactions was limited compared to colleagues who prioritized networking and relationship building during regular business hours. The senior analyst position that had recently become available represented exactly the kind of career advancement opportunity I'd been working toward since joining Morrison Associates, involving increased responsibility for client relationship management, leadership of complex analytical projects, and the potential for developing specialized expertise in emerging areas like sustainable investment strategies and technology sector financial analysis. The position would also come with a substantial salary increase and eligibility for performance bonuses that could significantly improve my financial security while providing resources for continuing education and professional development that would support long-term career growth in the financial consulting industry. My preparation for the senior analyst opportunity had been methodical and comprehensive, involving additional coursework in advanced financial modeling techniques, certification in specialized analytical software platforms, and development of presentation materials that demonstrated my analytical capabilities and strategic thinking abilities to senior leadership. I'd also taken on increasingly complex project assignments, volunteering for challenging client relationships, and developing innovative approaches to financial analysis that had earned praise from both internal colleagues and external clients who valued creative problem-solving and analytical rigor in their consulting relationships. The morning routine that had become my standard practice involved arriving at the office by 6:30 a.m. to review market developments and prepare analytical frameworks for the day's client work, followed by intensive research and analysis during the quiet early hours, when interruptions were minimal and concentration could be maintained at optimal levels. This schedule allowed me to complete substantial analytical work before the regular business day began, creating opportunities for collaboration and client communication during normal office hours, while ensuring that project deadlines were met consistently and with exceptional quality standards that exceeded client expectations. My productivity tracking app had become an essential tool for documenting and analyzing my work patterns, providing detailed metrics about time allocation, project efficiency, and productivity trends that helped me optimize my approach to complex analytical challenges while maintaining precise records of professional contributions that could support performance evaluations and career advancement discussions. The app tracked everything from active computer usage and software application engagement to break patterns and task completion rates, creating comprehensive data about work habits that revealed insights about peak performance periods and areas for potential improvement in efficiency and effectiveness. The data generated by my productivity tracking revealed patterns that challenged conventional assumptions about optimal work schedules and professional commitment measurement, showing that my early morning and evening work sessions often produced higher quality analytical output than traditional daytime hours. Preparing and narrating the story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. When office distractions and meeting obligations limited opportunities for sustained concentration on complex problems, the metrics also demonstrated that my total weekly work hours consistently exceeded standard expectations, with productive time averaging between 70 and 80 hours per week during busy project periods when multiple client deadlines required simultaneous attention and coordination. What made my work approach particularly effective was the integration of analytical rigor with creative problem-solving techniques that had been developed through years of mathematical training and practical experience, with diverse client challenges that required innovative solutions to complex financial questions. My educational background in mathematics provided foundational skills in statistical analysis and logical reasoning that translated effectively to financial consulting applications, while my natural curiosity about market dynamics and investment strategies had motivated continuous learning about emerging trends and analytical methodologies that enhanced the value of my contributions to client projects. The client relationships I'd been developing at Morrison Associates reflected my commitment to understanding business challenges from multiple perspectives, taking time to research industry trends, competitive landscapes, and regulatory environments that could impact investment decisions, and strategic planning initiatives that our consulting services were designed to support. This comprehensive approach to client service required substantial time investment in research and preparation, but it consistently produced analytical insights and strategic recommendations that exceeded client expectations while building trust and confidence in Morrison & Associates' consulting capabilities. My most recent project had involved developing a comprehensive financial analysis for Cascade Technologies, a rapidly growing software company that was considering expansion into international markets, while evaluating potential acquisition opportunities that could accelerate their growth strategy and market penetration objectives. The complexity of this analysis required integration of multiple analytical frameworks, including market research, competitive analysis, financial modeling, and risk assessment, that demanded both technical expertise and creative thinking about strategic alternatives that could achieve the client's growth objectives while managing financial and operational risks. The Cascade Technologies project had consumed 6 weeks of intensive research and analysis, requiring coordination with the client's internal finance team, external market research firms, and regulatory specialists who provided expertise about international expansion requirements and acquisition due diligence processes that would be essential for successful implementation of any strategic initiatives. My role involved synthesizing information from multiple sources into coherent analytical frameworks that could guide executive decision-making while providing detailed financial projections and risk assessments that would support board presentations and investor communications. The analytical approach I developed for Cascade Technologies incorporated innovative modeling techniques that accounted for market volatility, competitive response scenarios, and regulatory compliance requirements that could impact the financial performance of various strategic alternatives under consideration. The complexity of these models required advanced statistical analysis and scenario planning that pushed the boundaries of traditional financial consulting methodologies while delivering insights that proved valuable for client strategic planning processes. The client presentation for Cascade Technologies had been scheduled for the Friday afternoon following my performance review with David, creating additional pressure to demonstrate exceptional analytical capabilities and presentation skills that would validate my readiness for increased responsibility and senior analyst designation. The presentation materials included comprehensive financial models, detailed market analysis, and strategic recommendations that represented months of intensive research and creative problem-solving that demonstrated both technical competence and strategic thinking abilities essential for senior consulting positions. My preparation for the Cascade Technologies presentation had required extensive collaboration with Morrison & Associates technical specialists, industry experts, and presentation designers, who helped transform complex analytical findings into compelling visual narratives that could effectively communicate strategic insights to executive audiences who needed both technical accuracy and practical guidance for implementing recommended strategies. The collaborative process had been intensive but rewarding, creating opportunities to learn from experienced colleagues while contributing analytical perspectives that enhance the overall quality and impact of our consulting recommendations. The week leading up to my performance review with David had been particularly demanding, requiring completion of the Cascade Technologies analysis while simultaneously supporting ongoing projects for 3 other clients who had requested analytical assistance with quarterly financial planning, investment portfolio optimization, and merger due diligence activities that demanded different types of analytical expertise and presentation approaches. The workload had pushed my weekly hours well beyond normal expectations, but the productivity tracking app had documented every minute of effort, while providing insights about optimal work patterns and efficiency improvements that helped maintain quality standards despite time pressures. David's approach to the performance review had surprised me with its focus on perception and visibility rather than measurable contributions and analytical quality that I'd assumed would be the primary evaluation criteria for advancement in a results-oriented consulting environment. His comments about commitment and dedication seemed to reflect assumptions about professional engagement that emphasized traditional office presence and social participation over documented productivity and client satisfaction metrics that provided objective evidence of professional performance and value creation. The specific feedback David provided during our review session included concerns about my limited participation in optional after-work social events, questions about my commitment to collaborative team-building activities, and suggestions that my preferred work schedule might indicate a lack of enthusiasm for the collaborative culture that he viewed as essential for success at Morrison Associates. His perspective emphasized the importance of building personal relationships with colleagues and maintaining visible engagement during traditional office hours as indicators of professional commitment that would be evaluated alongside technical competence and analytical quality in advancement decisions. What frustrated me most about David's feedback was the apparent disconnect between his perception of my commitment and the objective evidence of my contributions to team success and client satisfaction that could be measured through project outcomes, client feedback, and analytical quality metrics that provided concrete evidence of professional performance. My productivity tracking data revealed consistent patterns of engagement and effort that exceeded standard expectations, while client feedback consistently praised the thoroughness and creativity of my analytical work and strategic recommendations that had delivered measurable value for their business planning and investment decision processes. The mathematical precision of my productivity tracking app provided irrefutable evidence of work commitment that challenged David's subjective assessments about dedication and professional engagement, creating an opportunity to demonstrate that effective contribution could be measured objectively rather than relying on traditional markers of office presence and social participation that might not accurately reflect actual productivity and value creation. The detailed metrics available through my tracking system included comprehensive data about task completion rates, quality indicators, and time allocation patterns that revealed insights about optimal performance strategies and professional commitment that went far beyond surface-level observations about office visibility. My decision to begin documenting work patterns through digital tracking had been motivated initially by personal curiosity about productivity optimization and time management efficiency. But the comprehensive data generated by consistent tracking had created an unexpected resource for objective performance evaluation that could complement traditional assessment methods with quantitative evidence of professional contribution and commitment. The tracking system monitored everything from active computer usage and application engagement to project completion timelines and quality metrics that provided detailed insights about work patterns and productivity trends. The data visualization capabilities of my tracking app created compelling presentations of work commitment that could be easily understood by managers and colleagues who might not appreciate the complexity of analytical work or the time investment required for producing high-quality research and strategic recommendations that exceeded client expectations. The charts and graphs generated by the tracking system provided clear evidence of sustained effort and productivity that contradicted assumptions about commitment based on limited office visibility or participation in optional social activities. As I sat in my workspace that Thursday morning, reviewing the productivity data from the previous week while preparing for another intensive day of analytical work, I reflected on the irony of having my commitment questioned when objective evidence clearly demonstrated exceptional dedication to professional excellence and client service that exceeded standard expectations for analytical quality and strategic insight. The tracking app on my computer screen displayed a comprehensive record of 73 hours of productive work during the current week, with detailed breakdowns of task categories, efficiency metrics, and quality indicators that provided irrefutable evidence of professional engagement and contribution. The challenge of responding to David's concerns about my commitment would require strategic thinking about how to present objective evidence in ways that could shift his perspective from subjective observations about office presence to measurable data about actual productivity and professional contribution that supported Morrison & Associates' mission of delivering exceptional analytical services to demanding corporate clients. The productivity tracking data provided a foundation for this discussion, but effective presentation would require careful consideration of David's management philosophy and the organizational culture that shaped his expectations about professional behavior and team engagement. My analysis of the situation suggested that David's feedback reflected broader tensions within Morrison & Associates between traditional professional culture that emphasized visible office presence and collaborative social interaction, and emerging work patterns that prioritized measurable productivity and results-oriented performance evaluation that could be documented through objective metrics rather than subjective observations about engagement and commitment. The resolution of this tension would likely influence not only my individual career advancement, but also the broader evolution of professional culture within the organization. The senior analyst position represented more than just career advancement. It symbolized recognition of analytical capabilities and professional commitment that could validate my approach to consulting work, while providing opportunities for increased influence over project methodology and client relationship development that would shape future career growth. The position would also provide a platform for demonstrating that exceptional results could be achieved through focused productivity and measurable contribution, rather than traditional markers of professional engagement that might not accurately reflect actual value creation. My preparation for addressing David's concerns about commitment would involve strategic presentation of productivity data that could demonstrate objective evidence of professional dedication, while respectfully challenging assumptions about optimal work patterns and performance evaluation criteria that might limit recognition of diverse approaches to achieving exceptional results. The tracking app data provided compelling evidence for this discussion, but success would require careful consideration of communication strategies that could shift perspective without appearing defensive or confrontational. The morning hours passed quickly as I immersed myself in analytical work for the Cascade Technologies presentation, reviewing market data and refining financial models, while monitoring real-time market developments that could impact our strategic recommendations for international expansion and acquisition opportunities. The productivity tracking app continued its silent documentation of my engagement, recording every keystroke and application usage, while building a comprehensive record of professional commitment that could support objective performance evaluation. As colleagues began arriving for the regular business day, I reflected on the broader implications of the conflict between traditional management expectations and data-driven performance evaluation that could reshape professional culture within consulting organizations that competed for talent and client relationships based on analytical excellence and strategic insight, rather than conventional markers of professional commitment. The resolution of this tension would require thoughtful dialogue about optimal work patterns and performance measurement that could balance organizational culture with individual productivity optimization and career development objectives. The productivity data displayed on my screen represented more than just time tracking. It documented a professional philosophy that prioritized measurable contribution and client value creation over traditional office presence and social participation that might not directly translate to analytical quality or strategic insight. The challenge would be presenting this evidence in ways that could demonstrate exceptional commitment, while opening dialogue about optimal approaches to professional development and performance evaluation in consulting environments that demanded both technical excellence and collaborative teamwork. My commitment to Morrison Associates extended far beyond the hours documented by my tracking app, encompassing continuous learning about analytical methodologies, dedication to client service excellence, and investment in professional development that supported both individual career growth and organizational success in competitive consulting markets. The tracking data provided objective evidence of this commitment, but the full scope of my dedication included elements that couldn't be easily quantified through digital monitoring systems. The afternoon ahead would bring opportunities to demonstrate analytical capabilities through client work, while continuing to build evidence of professional commitment that could support advancement discussions and contribute to broader conversations about optimal work patterns and performance evaluation in consulting organizations that valued both individual excellence and collaborative team success. The productivity tracking app would continue its documentation, but the real measure of commitment would be reflected in the quality and impact of analytical work that served client needs, while advancing Morrison & Associates' reputation for consulting excellence. The tension in David's office was palpable as he leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled while studying my latest project timeline with what appeared to be calculated skepticism. The Henderson manufacturing analysis had been completed 3 days ahead of schedule, delivering comprehensive financial projections and strategic recommendations that had impressed even our most demanding senior partners. Yet David seemed more interested in discussing my absence from Tuesday's optional team lunch than acknowledging the exceptional quality of work that had earned praise from the client's executive board. His questions about my commitment to team-building activities felt increasingly disconnected from the measurable contributions I'd been making to departmental success, creating a growing sense that our fundamental approaches to professional excellence were incompatible in ways that could threaten my career advancement, regardless of analytical performance. The following weeks brought a systematic escalation of scrutiny that extended far beyond normal performance monitoring into what felt like deliberate attempts to document perceived shortcomings in my professional engagement and team participation. David began scheduling mandatory team meetings during my peak productivity hours, interrupting analytical work sessions with requests for immediate status updates that could have been handled through email, and creating additional reporting requirements that seemed designed to increase my visible office presence rather than enhance project quality or client service effectiveness. His management style had shifted from collaborative oversight to micromanagement that consumed increasing amounts of time while adding minimal value to actual client deliverables or analytical outcomes. The productivity tracking app continued its silent documentation of these disruptions, recording the fragmented work patterns that resulted from constant interruptions and the decreased efficiency that accompanied mandatory participation in activities that contributed little to project success or professional development. The data revealed stark contrasts between my natural work rhythms and the artificial schedule constraints that David's management approach imposed, showing significant productivity losses during periods of intensive oversight compared to the exceptional results achieved during uninterrupted analytical work sessions. The metrics became increasingly important as evidence of the disconnect between management perception and actual professional contribution. My relationship with colleagues began reflecting the tensions created by David's management style, as team members found themselves caught between supporting collaborative work relationships and aligning with managerial expectations that emphasized visible participation over analytical contribution. Several colleagues privately expressed appreciation for the quality of my analytical work and the insights I provided for complex client challenges, but their public interactions became more cautious as they navigated the political dynamics created by David's obvious concerns about my professional commitment and team engagement. The office environment gradually developed an undercurrent of uncertainty about evaluation criteria and advancement opportunities that affected everyone's work patterns. The situation became more complex when Sarah Rodriguez joined our department as a senior consultant, bringing impressive credentials from McKinsey & Company along with a management philosophy that aligned closely with David's emphasis on visible collaboration and traditional professional engagement markers. Sarah's arrival provided David with additional support for his perspective about optimal team dynamics, while creating another layer of oversight that further constrained my preferred work approaches and analytical methodologies. Her extensive experience with high-profile consulting projects gave her significant influence over departmental practices and performance evaluation standards that could impact my advancement opportunities. Sarah's integration into our team structure included immediate involvement in major client relationships and strategic planning initiatives that had previously been collaborative projects where my analytical contributions were valued and recognized by both colleagues and clients. Her presence shifted the dynamics of these relationships, introducing different approaches to client communication and project management that emphasized relationship building and visible engagement over the detailed analytical work that had been my primary contribution to team success. The changes created uncertainty about my role in future projects and the value placed on my analytical expertise within evolving team structures. The Henderson manufacturing project had been my most successful analytical achievement at Morrison Associates, involving 6 months of intensive research into market conditions, competitive landscapes, and operational efficiency opportunities that could guide the client's strategic planning for expansion into renewable energy manufacturing. The complexity of this analysis required integration of financial modeling, market research, environmental impact assessment, and regulatory compliance evaluation that demanded both technical expertise and creative problem-solving abilities that few consultants possessed. My comprehensive approach had delivered insights that exceeded client expectations while demonstrating analytical capabilities that should have supported advancement discussions. The client feedback from Henderson Manufacturing had been exceptionally positive, with specific praise for the innovative analytical frameworks I'd developed to evaluate strategic alternatives and the detailed implementation recommendations that provided practical guidance for achieving their expansion objectives. The CEO had personally commended Morrison Associates for the quality of analytical support provided, mentioning my contributions specifically in communications with our senior leadership about future consulting opportunities and potential contract extensions that could significantly benefit our firm's revenue and reputation. Despite this client's success, David's performance discussions continued focusing on perceived gaps in team engagement and professional development that seemed disconnected from actual project outcomes and client satisfaction metrics. His feedback emphasized the importance of building internal relationships and participating in office social activities that he viewed as essential for long-term career success, while minimizing the significance of analytical excellence and client relationship building that had been the foundation of my professional contributions. The disconnect between his evaluation criteria and measurable performance outcomes created frustration that challenged my understanding of organizational priorities and advancement pathways. The mounting pressure from David's oversight began affecting my work quality, as increased meeting obligations and reporting requirements fragmented the concentrated analytical time necessary for producing exceptional research and strategic insights. My productivity tracking data revealed significant decreases in focused work periods and corresponding impacts on analytical depth and creative problem solving that had been hallmarks of my consulting approach. The forced participation in activities that added little professional value was systematically undermining the work patterns that had produced superior results for both clients and the firm. My frustration with this situation led to increased reliance on early morning and evening work sessions to maintain analytical quality and project timeline adherence, creating work schedules that exceeded 80 hours per week while achieving productivity levels that satisfied client expectations despite managerial constraints during regular business hours. The tracking app documented these extended work periods along with efficiency metrics that demonstrated sustained professional commitment, even under challenging management conditions that seemed designed to test dedication rather than optimize performance. The escalation of David's oversight included surprise desk visits during my early morning work sessions, questions about my evening presence in the office, and comments about work-life balance that seemed intended to discourage the extended schedules necessary for maintaining analytical quality under his management constraints. His concerns about overwork appeared contradictory to his earlier criticisms about commitment, creating confusion about expectations and evaluation criteria that made it difficult to develop strategies for meeting his professional standards while maintaining client service excellence. The complexity of navigating these conflicting expectations became more apparent when David implemented new team collaboration requirements that mandated participation in weekly brainstorming sessions, monthly team-building activities, and quarterly social events that consumed significant time while contributing minimal. The mandatory nature of these activities eliminated flexibility in schedule management that had been essential for optimizing analytical productivity and maintaining the work patterns that produced exceptional results for demanding consulting projects. Sarah's influence on these new requirements was evident in her advocacy for collaborative approaches that emphasized group dynamics and relationship building over individual analytical excellence, reflecting her McKinsey background, where team cohesion and visible engagement were prioritized alongside technical competence. Her perspective added credibility to David's management philosophy while creating additional pressure for conforming to collaboration standards that might not align with optimal analytical work patterns or individual productivity optimization strategies. The weekly brainstorming sessions became particularly challenging as they required participation in group discussions about strategic approaches and analytical methodologies that were often less sophisticated than the individual research and analysis I'd been conducting for complex client challenges. The collaborative format limited opportunities for deep analytical thinking, while creating pressure to contribute insights that could be easily understood and appreciated by colleagues with different levels of technical expertise and analytical experience. The sessions consumed valuable time while producing limited value for actual project development or client service enhancement. The monthly team-building activities included everything from escape room challenges and cooking classes to volunteer activities and recreational sports that were intended to strengthen interpersonal relationships and improve collaborative dynamics within our department. While these activities had social value and contributed to office morale, their mandatory nature created scheduling conflicts with client deadlines and analytical work requirements that made participation challenging without compromising project quality or timeline adherence. The activities also emphasized interpersonal skills and group dynamics that were different from the analytical competencies that had been my primary professional strengths. The quarterly social events expanded beyond department-level activities to include firm-wide celebrations, client appreciation dinners, and industry networking receptions that required significant time investment in relationship building and professional socializing that competed with analytical work priorities. These events provided valuable opportunities for business development and client relationship management, but their frequency and mandatory attendance expectations created additional pressure on already demanding work schedules that included intensive analytical projects and tight client deadlines. My attempts to balance these competing demands while maintaining analytical excellence and client satisfaction began taking personal tolls that affected both work performance and overall well-being in ways that threatened long-term career sustainability and professional development objectives. The productivity tracking app documented increasing stress indicators and decreased efficiency during periods of intensive social obligations, while also revealing the exceptional productivity achieved during uninterrupted analytical work sessions that demonstrated the value of focused concentration for complex problem-solving tasks. The data patterns emerging from my tracking app created compelling evidence about optimal work approaches for analytical consulting that challenged conventional assumptions about team collaboration and professional engagement in consulting environments. The metrics showed consistent productivity advantages during periods of concentrated individual work compared to collaborative sessions, along with superior analytical quality achieved through sustained focus rather than fragmented attention across multiple social and professional obligations. This evidence suggested potential improvements in departmental productivity through more flexible approaches to team collaboration and individual work optimization. The most significant challenge emerged when David announced plans for restructuring departmental responsibilities to emphasize collaborative project management and shared analytical development that would reduce individual project leadership opportunities while increasing group coordination requirements that could limit the analytical depth and creative problem-solving that had been my primary professional contributions. The restructuring reflected his management philosophy about optimal team dynamics, while potentially constraining the individual excellence that had driven superior client outcomes and analytical innovation. The proposed changes included mandatory collaboration on all major analytical projects, shared responsibility for client relationship management, and group-based performance evaluation that would make individual contributions more difficult to measure and recognize within team-oriented assessment frameworks. These changes threatened to eliminate the specialized analytical roles that had allowed me to develop expertise in complex financial modeling and strategic analysis that provided exceptional value for demanding client challenges requiring innovative solutions and technical precision. Sarah's support for these restructuring plans added credibility to David's proposals, while creating momentum for organizational changes that could fundamentally alter the departmental culture and work approaches that had produced exceptional client satisfaction and analytical excellence. Her McKinsey experience provided examples of successful collaborative consulting models that emphasized team coordination and shared responsibility, but these approaches might not optimize the individual analytical strengths that had been my primary contribution to departmental success and client value creation. The implications of these proposed changes extended beyond my individual career concerns to encompass broader questions about optimal organizational structure for analytical consulting that balanced collaborative teamwork with individual expertise development and specialized analytical capabilities that clients valued in complex strategic planning and financial analysis projects. The tension between collaborative efficiency and analytical excellence represented fundamental challenges in consulting organization design that could affect both short-term performance and long-term competitive advantages in demanding professional services markets. My productivity tracking data became increasingly important as evidence for evaluating these organizational design questions, providing objective metrics about individual productivity optimization and analytical quality enhancement that could inform discussions about optimal team structure and work approach development. The detailed documentation of work patterns, efficiency variations, and quality indicators offered insights about consulting productivity that extended beyond my individual situation to encompass broader organizational effectiveness and competitive positioning in analytical services markets. The escalating tension between David's collaborative management philosophy and my individual analytical approach created pressure for resolution that would either validate my work methodology through objective performance measurement or require adaptation to collaborative frameworks that might constrain the analytical depth and creative problem-solving that had produced exceptional client results. The productivity tracking app provided evidence for this evaluation, but the broader organizational implications required consideration of multiple factors, including client satisfaction, team dynamics, and competitive positioning that extended beyond individual performance metrics. As the conflict intensified, my options for resolution became clearer but more challenging, requiring strategic decisions about professional development priorities and career advancement pathways that could either lead to greater recognition for analytical excellence or necessitate adaptation to collaborative consulting approaches that emphasize different professional competencies and evaluation criteria. The situation demanded careful consideration of both immediate performance challenges and long-term career objectives within evolving organizational structures that might prioritize different aspects of professional contribution and team engagement. The productivity data continued accumulating evidence of exceptional work commitment and analytical productivity that contradicted David's assessments about professional dedication and team contribution, creating opportunities for objective performance evaluation that could shift organizational perspective about optimal work approaches and individual contribution recognition. The challenge would be presenting this evidence effectively while demonstrating value for collaborative teamwork and organizational objectives that encompassed both individual excellence and team effectiveness in competitive consulting markets that demanded superior analytical services and client relationship management. The breakthrough came at 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday morning when I discovered something that would fundamentally change my understanding of the situation at Morrison Associates. I had been working late on the Whitmore Industries merger analysis, utilizing the quiet hours to dive deep into complex financial modeling without the constant interruptions that had become routine during regular business hours. My productivity tracking app was silently documenting every keystroke and analysis session when I noticed an unusual pattern in our firm's network activity logs that I accessed through the shared drive while searching for historical client data to support my current project. The network logs revealed systematic access to my personal work files during times when I was definitely not in the office, with login credentials that appeared to be administrative overrides rather than standard user access protocols. Someone had been monitoring my digital work patterns, reviewing my analytical methodologies, and copying proprietary research that I had developed for various client projects over the past several months. The sophistication of this surveillance suggested technical expertise and administrative privileges that went far beyond casual curiosity about colleague productivity or management oversight of departmental performance. My initial reaction was disbelief, followed quickly by a methodical analysis of the access patterns that revealed disturbing systematic surveillance extending back nearly 6 months, coinciding precisely with David's increasing scrutiny of my work habits and professional commitment. The timing suggested coordination between the digital monitoring and the management pressure I had been experiencing, creating the possibility that my analytical work was being systematically evaluated and potentially copied by individuals who had specific interests in my research methodologies and client insights that had been producing exceptional results for Morrison Associates. The technical analysis of these intrusions required skills I had developed during my undergraduate computer science coursework, which had been a secondary focus during my mathematics degree program at Portland State University. My familiarity with network security protocols and digital forensics allowed me to trace the unauthorized access patterns while preserving evidence that could support formal investigation if the situation warranted escalation to senior management or external authorities. The evidence revealed not only systematic surveillance, but also sophisticated attempts to conceal the monitoring through technical methods that suggested professional expertise in corporate intelligence gathering. What made this discovery particularly alarming was the realization that my most innovative analytical work, including the proprietary financial modeling techniques I had developed for complex merger analysis and strategic planning projects, had been systematically copied and potentially shared with external parties who could use this intellectual property for competitive advantage against Morrison Associates and our clients. The stolen research represented months of creative analytical development that provided significant competitive advantages for our consulting services, and its unauthorized distribution could compromise both our firm's market position and our clients' strategic planning confidentiality. The scope of the surveillance extended beyond my individual work files to include monitoring of my email communications, calendar scheduling patterns, and even my productivity tracking app data, which had been accessed through network vulnerabilities that allowed unauthorized parties to observe my work habits and performance metrics in real time. This comprehensive surveillance created the possibility that external competitors had been monitoring Morrison Associates' analytical capabilities and client relationships through systematic intelligence gathering that violated both corporate security protocols and potentially federal laws governing intellectual property theft and corporate espionage. My investigation of the network intrusions revealed connections to external IP addresses that traced back to competing consulting firms in the Portland metropolitan area, including several organizations that had been submitting surprisingly sophisticated proposals for contracts that Morrison Associates had been pursuing. The competitive intelligence gathered through unauthorized access to my analytical work could explain how these firms had been able to anticipate our strategic approaches and develop counterproposals that demonstrated suspicious familiarity with our proprietary research methodologies and client relationship strategies. The most disturbing aspect of this discovery was the possibility that David's management scrutiny and Sarah's collaborative restructuring initiatives were connected to the systematic surveillance of my work, either as unknowing participants who had been influenced by external intelligence about my productivity patterns, or as active collaborators in corporate espionage operations that were designed to compromise Morrison Associates' competitive advantages while gathering strategic intelligence for competing organizations. The coordination between management pressure and technical surveillance suggested sophisticated planning that extended beyond simple workplace rivalry into potential criminal activity. My analysis of the surveillance patterns revealed that the unauthorized access had intensified during periods when I was working on particularly sensitive client projects, including the Henderson Manufacturing Expansion Analysis and the Cascade Technologies Strategic Planning Initiative that had produced exceptional results and significant client satisfaction. The timing suggested that external parties had specific interest in my analytical approaches to complex strategic planning challenges and the innovative financial modeling techniques that had been producing superior outcomes for demanding consulting projects. The evidence also indicated that my productivity tracking app data had been particularly valuable for the surveillance operation, providing detailed insights about my work patterns, efficiency optimization strategies, and time management approaches that could be analyzed and potentially replicated by competing consulting firms seeking to improve their own analytical capabilities and project management effectiveness. The theft of this productivity data represented violation of both personal privacy and proprietary business methodologies that could provide significant competitive advantages for unauthorized users. My decision to document this evidence required careful consideration of both legal implications and potential career consequences, as exposure of systematic corporate surveillance could trigger investigations that might disrupt Morrison Associates' business operations while potentially placing my professional standing at risk if senior management viewed my discovery as evidence of security vulnerabilities rather than external threats requiring coordinated response. The complexity of the situation demanded strategic thinking about optimal approaches for protecting both my individual interests and the firm's competitive position. The technical expertise required for conducting this surveillance suggested coordination with individuals who possessed advanced computer skills and network security knowledge that exceeded typical corporate capabilities, indicating possible involvement of professional intelligence gathering operations or cybersecurity specialists who were conducting systematic corporate espionage for competing organizations. The sophistication of the surveillance methods implied significant financial investment and organizational coordination that extended beyond casual competitive intelligence into systematic industrial espionage targeting Portland's consulting sector. My investigation also revealed that several other Morrison Associates employees had been subject to similar surveillance, including senior analysts and project managers who had been producing exceptional results for major client relationships. The systematic targeting of high-performing employees suggested that the surveillance operation was designed to identify and copy the analytical methodologies and client relationship strategies that provided Morrison Associates with competitive advantages in demanding consulting markets that required innovative problem-solving and strategic insight. The pattern of surveillance indicated particular interest in employees who, like myself, had been developing innovative analytical approaches and producing superior client outcomes through individual excellence and creative problem-solving rather than traditional collaborative consulting methodologies. This targeting suggested that external parties viewed individual analytical capabilities as threats to their competitive positioning, while seeking to acquire the intellectual property and strategic insights that had been driving Morrison Associates' success in complex consulting projects. The evidence I had discovered created opportunities for transforming my defensive position regarding David's management scrutiny into a proactive investigation of corporate security threats that could demonstrate my value to Morrison Associates while exposing systematic attempts to compromise our firm's competitive advantages and client confidentiality. The documentation of surveillance activities provided leverage for discussions about departmental security and individual contribution recognition that could shift organizational perspective about optimal work approaches and performance evaluation criteria. My next step involved careful documentation of the surveillance evidence while developing strategic approaches for presenting this information to senior management in ways that would demonstrate both my analytical capabilities and my commitment to protecting Morrison & Associates' competitive interests. The evidence needed to be presented objectively and comprehensively to support formal investigation while avoiding appearance of paranoia or defensive deflection of legitimate management concerns about team collaboration and professional development. The productivity tracking app took on new significance as both evidence of my exceptional work commitment and as documentation of how that commitment had been systematically monitored and potentially exploited by external parties seeking competitive intelligence about Morrison & Associates' analytical capabilities and project management effectiveness. The app data provided objective evidence that could support both individual performance evaluation and corporate security assessment in ways that addressed multiple organizational concerns simultaneously. My analysis of the surveillance operation revealed sophisticated coordination between multiple external parties, including direct competitors, technology consultants with cybersecurity expertise, and potentially international business intelligence organizations that specialized in corporate espionage targeting American consulting firms. The scope of this coordination suggested systematic efforts to compromise Portland's consulting sector through theft of intellectual property and strategic intelligence that could affect multiple firms beyond Morrison & Associates. The discovery of this surveillance network created obligations for reporting potential criminal activity, while simultaneously providing opportunities for demonstrating analytical capabilities and organizational loyalty that could address David's concerns about my professional commitment and team engagement. The evidence suggested that my individual excellence and innovative analytical approaches represented exactly the kind of competitive advantages that external parties were seeking to compromise through systematic corporate espionage operations. The technical analysis required for documenting this surveillance had demanded exactly the kind of detailed analytical thinking and creative problem-solving that had been the foundation of my consulting success, demonstrating that my approach to professional challenges extended beyond routine financial analysis into complex investigative work that could provide significant value for organizational security and competitive positioning. The investigation had required sustained concentration and methodical analysis that produced actionable intelligence about serious threats to Morrison & Associates' business interests. My productivity during the surveillance investigation had been exceptional, with the tracking app documenting intensive research sessions and analytical work that exceeded even my normal high standards for concentrated effort and detailed analysis. The investigation had required integration of technical expertise, analytical reasoning, and strategic thinking that demonstrated the full scope of my professional capabilities, while producing evidence that could fundamentally alter organizational understanding of recent departmental challenges and competitive pressures. The implications of the surveillance discovery extended beyond my individual situation to encompass broader questions about corporate security protocols, employee privacy protection, and competitive intelligence threats that could affect Morrison & Associates' entire business model and client relationships. The evidence suggested systematic vulnerabilities in our firm's information security that required immediate attention and comprehensive response to prevent further compromise of proprietary information and strategic planning insights. My role in discovering and documenting this surveillance operation positioned me as a valuable contributor to organizational security, while demonstrating analytical capabilities and investigative skills that exceeded normal consulting requirements. The investigation had required exactly the kind of individual initiative and creative problem-solving that David had been questioning, providing concrete evidence of professional commitment and analytical excellence that could support advancement discussions while addressing broader organizational security concerns. The evidence also revealed that my preference for early morning and evening work sessions had actually provided some protection against surveillance by limiting exposure during peak monitoring periods when network traffic was higher and intrusion detection was more likely to identify unauthorized access attempts. My unconventional work schedule had inadvertently created security advantages while maintaining productivity levels that exceeded departmental standards for analytical quality and client satisfaction. The complexity of presenting this evidence to senior management required careful consideration of organizational dynamics and communication strategies that could demonstrate both individual analytical capabilities and collaborative commitment to firm security and competitive positioning. The surveillance discovery provided opportunities for shifting discussions from defensive justification of work approaches to proactive contribution to organizational protection and strategic advantage in competitive consulting markets. My investigation had also revealed that several recent client losses and competitive setbacks experienced by Morrison Associates could be attributed to information leakage through the surveillance operation, suggesting that the corporate espionage had been causing measurable damage to our firm's market position and revenue generation. This evidence provided compelling business justification for comprehensive security improvements, while demonstrating that my individual analytical work had been targeted specifically because of its competitive value and innovative approaches. The surveillance operation had been particularly focused on my development of advanced financial modeling techniques that integrated multiple analytical frameworks for complex strategic planning projects, suggesting that external parties viewed these methodologies as valuable intellectual property that could provide competitive advantages for their own consulting services. The systematic copying of this analytical work represented theft of proprietary business methods that had required months of development and creative thinking to perfect. My productivity tracking data revealed that the periods of most intensive surveillance had coincided with my highest quality analytical work and most innovative problem-solving sessions, confirming that external parties had been specifically targeting my peak performance periods to maximize the value of stolen intellectual property and strategic insights. This pattern demonstrated that my analytical excellence had been recognized and valued even by competing organizations that were willing to engage in illegal surveillance to access my work. The discovery of systematic surveillance provided compelling evidence that my work commitment and analytical capabilities had been exceptional enough to warrant corporate espionage targeting, contradicting David's assessments about professional dedication and team contribution, while demonstrating that external competitors viewed my individual excellence as a significant threat to their market positioning. The surveillance operation served as objective validation of my professional value, while creating opportunities for organizational recognition and security improvement initiatives. The technical sophistication of the surveillance methods suggested coordination with cybersecurity professionals and potentially foreign intelligence operations that specialized in corporate espionage targeting American consulting firms and technology companies. The international implications of this discovery created potential federal law enforcement jurisdiction, while highlighting the serious nature of the threats facing Morrison Associates and similar organizations in competitive consulting markets that relied on proprietary analytical capabilities and strategic intelligence. My investigation had revealed systematic attempts to undermine Morrison & Associates' competitive advantages through theft of intellectual property and strategic intelligence that could provide significant benefits for competing organizations while compromising our firm's market position and client relationships. The evidence suggested coordinated efforts to damage our competitive capabilities while acquiring the analytical methodologies and strategic insights that had been driving our success in demanding consulting projects. The documentation of this surveillance operation provided opportunities for demonstrating analytical capabilities and organizational loyalty that could address management concerns about team collaboration while establishing my value as a contributor to corporate security and competitive positioning. The investigation had required exactly the kind of individual initiative and creative problem-solving that characterized exceptional consulting performance, while producing evidence that could benefit Morrison & Associates' entire business strategy and security protocols. The Monday morning senior partner meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m., and I arrived at Morrison & Associates headquarters carrying a comprehensive portfolio of evidence that would either vindicate my professional approach or potentially end my career if the presentation failed to convince senior leadership about the severity of the corporate espionage threats targeting our firm. My productivity tracking app showed 87 hours of work during the previous week, with 43 of those hours dedicated to investigating and documenting the surveillance operation that had been systematically compromising our competitive advantages and client confidentiality. Linda Washington, the founding partner and CEO of Morrison Associates, presided over the monthly leadership review with her characteristic blend of analytical precision and strategic insight that had built our firm's reputation as one of the Pacific Northwest's premier financial consulting organizations. The conference room included David Chen, Sarah Rodriguez, and 3 other senior partners whose combined experience encompassed decades of consulting excellence and business development that had established Morrison Associates as a trusted advisor for Fortune 500 companies and emerging technology firms throughout the region. My presentation began with a systematic overview of the unauthorized network access patterns I had discovered during my late-night analytical work, presenting technical evidence through clear visualizations that demonstrated the scope and sophistication of surveillance activities targeting our firm's proprietary research and strategic intelligence. The data showed consistent intrusion patterns spanning 6 months, with particular focus on high-value client projects and innovative analytical methodologies that provided Morrison Associates with competitive advantages in complex consulting engagements. David's initial reaction was skepticism about my technical analysis and concern that network security issues might reflect individual carelessness rather than systematic external threats requiring organizational response. His questions focused on whether my unconventional work hours and remote access patterns might have created vulnerabilities that external parties exploited, suggesting that the surveillance operation could be attributed to personal security lapses rather than sophisticated corporate espionage targeting our firm's intellectual property and strategic capabilities. Sarah's response demonstrated her McKinsey training through systematic evaluation of the evidence and strategic questioning about competitive implications and potential responses that could protect Morrison Associates while maintaining operational effectiveness. Her analysis recognized the serious nature of corporate espionage while emphasizing the importance of coordinated response strategies that could address security vulnerabilities without disrupting collaborative team dynamics and client relationship management that remained essential for consulting success. Linda Washington's reaction to the evidence was immediate recognition of the strategic threats represented by systematic intellectual property theft and corporate intelligence gathering that could compromise Morrison Associates' competitive positioning while providing significant advantages for competing consulting firms throughout the region. Her questions focused on quantifying the business impact of information compromise and developing comprehensive security protocols that could prevent future surveillance while supporting aggressive business development and market expansion initiatives. The documentation I presented included detailed analysis of which specific client projects had been targeted for surveillance, revealing particular focus on innovative analytical methodologies and strategic planning approaches that had produced exceptional results for demanding consulting engagements. The Henderson manufacturing expansion analysis had been comprehensively copied, along with my proprietary financial modeling techniques and strategic frameworks that had delivered breakthrough insights for complex merger and acquisition evaluation projects. My presentation continued with evidence linking the surveillance operation to specific competing consulting firms that had been submitting surprisingly sophisticated proposals for contracts Morrison Associates had been pursuing. The correlation between information theft and competitive proposals demonstrated systematic use of stolen intelligence for market advantage, while highlighting the financial impact of corporate espionage on our firm's revenue generation and business development effectiveness. The most compelling evidence involved my productivity tracking app data, which had been systematically monitored to provide external parties with detailed insights about optimal analytical work patterns and efficiency optimization strategies that could be replicated by competing organizations seeking to improve their consulting capabilities. The theft of productivity data represented violation of both personal privacy and proprietary business methodologies that provided Morrison Associates with performance advantages in demanding consulting markets. Linda Washington's analysis of the evidence led to immediate implementation of enhanced security protocols and coordination with federal law enforcement agencies specializing in corporate espionage investigations. Her decision reflected recognition that the surveillance operation represented serious criminal activity requiring professional investigation, while potentially affecting multiple consulting firms throughout the Pacific Northwest technology sector. The scope of the intelligence gathering suggested systematic efforts to compromise regional consulting capabilities through coordinated espionage operations. David's perspective shifted dramatically as the implications of the surveillance evidence became clear. Recognizing that his concerns about my professional commitment had been influenced by external intelligence about my work patterns and productivity optimization strategies that competing organizations had been monitoring for strategic advantage. His management approach had inadvertently aligned with espionage objectives by constraining the analytical work approaches that external parties viewed as competitive threats requiring surveillance and potential compromise. The revelation that my individual analytical excellence had been specifically targeted for corporate espionage provided objective validation of professional capabilities and work commitment that addressed David's earlier concerns about dedication and team engagement. The evidence demonstrated that external competitors viewed my innovative analytical approaches as valuable enough to warrant systematic intelligence gathering and potential theft of intellectual property that provided Morrison Associates with significant competitive advantages. Sarah's strategic analysis of the situation included recommendations for leveraging the espionage discovery to strengthen Morrison Associates' market position while developing enhanced security protocols that could protect competitive advantages without constraining analytical innovation and individual excellence that had been driving superior client outcomes. Her approach balanced security enhancement with operational effectiveness in ways that could maintain competitive positioning while preventing future intelligence compromise. The immediate response to my presentation included establishment of a crisis management team comprising senior partners, cybersecurity specialists, and legal counsel who would coordinate with federal investigators while implementing comprehensive security improvements designed to protect Morrison & Associates' intellectual property and strategic planning capabilities. The coordinated response demonstrated organizational recognition of both the serious nature of the threats and the value of analytical capabilities that had been targeted for systematic surveillance. My role in discovering and documenting the corporate espionage operation resulted in immediate promotion to senior analyst with expanded responsibilities for competitive intelligence protection and strategic analysis coordination that would leverage my technical expertise while providing leadership opportunities for developing innovative analytical methodologies within enhanced security frameworks. The promotion reflected organizational appreciation for both my analytical capabilities and my contribution to protecting Morrison & Associates' competitive advantages. The federal investigation that followed revealed connections between the surveillance operation and international business intelligence networks that had been systematically targeting American consulting firms for strategic intelligence and intellectual property that could provide competitive advantages for foreign consulting organizations and technology companies. The scope of the espionage operation extended far beyond Morrison & Associates to encompass coordinated efforts targeting multiple firms throughout the Pacific Northwest consulting sector. David's acknowledgement of his misunderstanding about my professional commitment included recognition that his management approach had been influenced by external intelligence designed to compromise Morrison & Associates' analytical capabilities through systematic constraint of individual excellence and innovative problem-solving that provided competitive advantages. His willingness to adapt management strategies reflected professional integrity while supporting enhanced security protocols that could protect analytical innovation. The client relationships that had been potentially compromised through surveillance required comprehensive review and notification procedures that demonstrated Morrison & Associates' commitment to protecting confidential information while maintaining trust relationships essential for consulting success. The proactive approach to client communications strengthened relationships while establishing our firm as a leader in corporate security and intellectual property protection that could provide competitive advantages in consulting markets increasingly concerned about espionage threats. The productivity tracking app that had initially been my personal tool for optimization became a model for departmental performance measurement and security monitoring that could provide early warning about potential surveillance while supporting individual excellence and analytical innovation within collaborative team frameworks. The app data provided objective evidence for performance evaluation while creating security benefits that protected competitive advantages. Linda Washington's strategic response to the espionage discovery included aggressive business development initiatives that leveraged Morrison & Associates' enhanced security capabilities as competitive advantages for attracting clients concerned about intellectual property protection and strategic planning confidentiality. The security improvements became marketing assets while demonstrating organizational capabilities that exceeded standard consulting offerings in corporate protection and competitive intelligence. The resolution of my conflict with David evolved into collaborative leadership of enhanced security protocols and analytical methodology protection that combined his management expertise with my technical capabilities for comprehensive competitive intelligence defense. Our partnership demonstrated how individual excellence and collaborative teamwork could be integrated effectively for organizational advantage while supporting both security enhancement and analytical innovation. My vindication extended beyond personal career advancement to encompass industry recognition for corporate security contribution and analytical excellence that positioned Morrison Associates as a leader in consulting integrity and competitive intelligence protection. The combination of exceptional analytical capabilities and security expertise created unique professional opportunities while establishing new standards for corporate protection in consulting environments increasingly targeted by systematic espionage operations. The federal prosecution of the espionage network resulted in significant criminal convictions and financial penalties that demonstrated serious consequences for corporate intelligence theft, while establishing legal precedents that strengthened protection for consulting firms and their intellectual property. The successful prosecution validated the importance of individual vigilance and analytical expertise for detecting systematic threats that could compromise entire industry sectors through coordinated intelligence gathering operations. The transformation of Morrison & Associates following the espionage discovery included enhanced competitive positioning, improved client relationships, and expanded business development opportunities that demonstrated how effective security response could provide strategic advantages while supporting continued growth and market leadership in demanding consulting sectors. The crisis had ultimately strengthened our firm's competitive position, while validating analytical excellence and individual contribution within collaborative organizational frameworks. 6 months after the federal prosecution concluded with guilty verdicts for all 12 defendants involved in the corporate espionage network, I found myself standing in the corner office that had once seemed impossible to attain, reviewing quarterly performance reports that showed Morrison & Associates had achieved record revenue growth and market expansion that exceeded our most optimistic projections. The productivity tracking app that had once been my private tool for documenting work commitment now served as the foundation for a proprietary performance optimization system that other consulting firms were licensing from us, creating an unexpected revenue stream that had grown into a 7-figure annual business within our technology services division. The transformation of my professional relationship with David Chen had evolved into one of the most effective partnerships within Morrison & Associates, combining his strategic management expertise with my analytical capabilities and security insights to create innovative consulting approaches that provided exceptional value for clients while maintaining the highest standards of intellectual property protection and competitive intelligence security. Our collaborative leadership of the Enhanced Analytics Division had attracted major corporate clients who valued both analytical excellence and comprehensive confidentiality protection in an increasingly competitive business environment, where corporate espionage posed constant threats to strategic planning and competitive advantage. Linda Washington's recognition of my contributions to Morrison & Associates had extended beyond the immediate crisis response to encompass ongoing leadership responsibilities for competitive intelligence analysis and security protocol development that positioned our firm as the regional leader in protected consulting services. My role as Director of Strategic Analysis and Security Integration involved oversight of client confidentiality protection, analytical methodology development, and staff training programs that ensured all consulting work met the enhanced security standards that had become our signature competitive advantage in demanding corporate consulting markets. The industry recognition for my work in exposing and documenting corporate espionage operations had created opportunities for speaking engagements at major consulting conferences, publication of analytical security methodologies in leading business journals, and advisory positions with federal agencies that were developing enhanced protection protocols for intellectual property in consulting and technology sectors. These external activities had raised Morrison & Associates' profile while establishing our firm as the authoritative source for expertise in consulting security and competitive intelligence protection. My productivity tracking methodology had evolved into a comprehensive performance optimization framework that integrated individual efficiency analysis with team collaboration metrics and security monitoring capabilities that provided real-time insights about both productivity enhancement and potential threats to intellectual property. The system had been implemented across Morrison & Associates' entire operation, resulting in measurable improvements in client satisfaction, project efficiency, and competitive positioning that demonstrated the business value of systematic performance measurement and security integration. The enhanced analytics division under my leadership had grown to include 15 specialized consultants who combined traditional analytical expertise with advanced security training and competitive intelligence awareness that enabled our team to deliver superior results while maintaining comprehensive protection for client confidentiality and proprietary strategic insights. Our division's client retention rate exceeded 95%, with revenue per engagement averaging 40% higher than industry standards due to the premium value clients placed on our security-enhanced consulting services. David's management philosophy had evolved to embrace flexible work approaches and individual optimization strategies, while maintaining collaborative team dynamics that supported both analytical excellence and comprehensive security awareness throughout departmental operations. His integration of productivity measurement with collaborative teamwork had created a departmental culture that valued measurable contribution while supporting diverse work styles and individual strength development that maximized both performance and job satisfaction for consulting professionals, with varying approaches to analytical excellence. The federal investigation's broader impact had revealed corporate espionage networks targeting consulting firms throughout multiple metropolitan areas, leading to enhanced security protocols and industry collaboration initiatives that strengthened protection for intellectual property and competitive intelligence across the entire consulting sector. Morrison Associates' role in this investigation had positioned our firm as a leader in consulting security, while creating valuable relationships with federal agencies and other consulting organizations that enhanced our competitive positioning and business development opportunities. Sarah Rodriguez had transitioned to leading our international expansion initiative, leveraging her McKinsey experience and the security expertise developed through our espionage response to establish Morrison Associates operations in emerging markets, where American consulting firms faced sophisticated competitive intelligence threats requiring advanced security protocols and analytical protection methodologies. Her leadership of international operations demonstrated how collaborative teamwork and individual analytical excellence could be integrated effectively for global consulting success, while maintaining comprehensive security awareness. The client relationships that had been strengthened through our proactive response to the espionage threats had resulted in expanded consulting contracts and strategic partnership opportunities that provided Morrison Associates with preferred vendor status for major corporations seeking consulting services that combined analytical excellence with comprehensive intellectual property protection. Our enhanced reputation for security awareness had become a significant competitive advantage that attracted clients from industries where confidentiality and competitive intelligence protection were essential for strategic planning and business development success. My personal professional development had included advanced training in cybersecurity analysis, federal law enforcement cooperation protocols, and international business intelligence that expanded my capabilities beyond traditional financial consulting into specialized areas that provided unique value for clients facing sophisticated competitive threats and intellectual property vulnerabilities. The combination of analytical expertise and security specialization had created career opportunities that exceeded my original aspirations, while providing professional satisfaction that came from contributing to industry-wide improvements in consulting security and competitive protection. The productivity tracking system had been enhanced with artificial intelligence capabilities that could identify patterns indicating potential security threats while optimizing individual and team performance through predictive analytics and personalized efficiency recommendations that supported both productivity enhancement and competitive intelligence protection. The system's commercial success had attracted acquisition interest from major technology companies, but Morrison Associates had chosen to maintain proprietary control while licensing selected features to consulting firms that met our. The legal settlements from the espionage prosecution had provided Morrison Associates with substantial financial recovery that funded technology upgrades, staff expansion, and research initiatives that enhanced our analytical capabilities, while supporting continued innovation in consulting security and competitive intelligence protection. The financial impact had exceeded initial damage estimates, demonstrating the significant business value of intellectual property protection and the serious consequences of corporate espionage for both individual firms and entire industry sectors. My relationship with colleagues throughout Morrison Associates had been transformed by the validation of individual analytical excellence and the demonstration that exceptional productivity and security awareness could be measured objectively rather than evaluated through subjective observations about office presence and social participation. The cultural shift toward performance-based evaluation and security-conscious collaboration had improved both individual job satisfaction and team effectiveness, while attracting high-performing consultants who valued merit-based advancement and innovative analytical approaches. The academic recognition for my work had included invitations to guest lecture at leading business schools about consulting security, productivity optimization, and analytical methodology protection that provided opportunities for recruiting exceptional graduates while contributing to educational development in areas that would benefit the entire consulting industry. My involvement in academic research had also supported development of new analytical techniques and security protocols that maintained Morrison Associates' position at the forefront of consulting innovation. The international consulting projects that had emerged from our enhanced reputation included advisory relationships with foreign governments and multinational corporations that required the highest levels of analytical excellence and security protection for strategic planning initiatives involving sensitive economic and competitive intelligence. These engagements provided exceptional professional challenges while demonstrating the global applicability of analytical security methodologies that Morrison and Associates had pioneered through our response to domestic espionage threats. David's public acknowledgement of his initial misunderstanding about productivity evaluation and work commitment had contributed to industry discussions about optimal management approaches for analytical professionals and the importance of objective performance measurement in consulting environments, where individual excellence and collaborative teamwork must be balanced effectively for organizational success. His willingness to adapt management practices based on evidence and results had enhanced his reputation while supporting Morrison & Associates' culture of continuous improvement and professional development. The technology innovations that had emerged from integrating productivity tracking with security monitoring had created intellectual property assets that provided Morrison & Associates with ongoing competitive advantages while generating licensing revenue that supported continued research and development in consulting optimization and protection methodologies. Our proprietary technology had become a significant business asset that enhanced both operational effectiveness and competitive positioning in consulting markets, increasingly focused on efficiency and security. The industry leadership position that Morrison & Associates had achieved through effective espionage response and analytical security innovation had resulted in acquisition of smaller consulting firms that wanted to benefit from our security expertise, while contributing specialized analytical capabilities that expanded our service offerings and market reach. The strategic acquisitions had been structured to maintain our culture of analytical excellence, while integrating diverse expertise that enhanced our competitive positioning and client service capabilities. My current responsibilities included oversight of consulting security protocols for a network of affiliated firms throughout the Pacific Northwest, coordination with federal agencies on industry security initiatives, and development of advanced analytical methodologies that push the boundaries of consulting innovation while maintaining comprehensive protection for intellectual property and competitive intelligence. The scope of these responsibilities reflected the professional growth that had resulted from combining analytical excellence with security expertise and organizational leadership. The personal satisfaction from transforming a career crisis into industry leadership and professional recognition had validated my approach to work commitment and analytical excellence, while demonstrating that individual contribution and collaborative teamwork could be integrated effectively for both personal advancement and organizational success. The journey from questioned dedication to industry recognition had required resilience, analytical thinking, and strategic response that became a model for other consulting professionals facing similar challenges in competitive business environments. The legacy of the espionage discovery and response continued to influence Morrison & Associates' strategic planning and competitive positioning, ensuring that security awareness and intellectual property protection remained central to our consulting approach, while supporting continued innovation and analytical excellence that provided exceptional value for clients throughout diverse industries and geographic markets. The integration of security consciousness with analytical innovation had become a defining characteristic of our firm's culture and competitive advantage. Standing in my office that overlooked Portland's downtown skyline, reviewing performance data that showed Morrison Associates' continued growth and my own professional development into industry leadership, I reflected on how the challenge to my work commitment had ultimately revealed strengths and capabilities that transformed both my career trajectory and our firm's competitive positioning in ways that exceeded any original expectations about consulting success and professional recognition in analytical services markets that increasingly valued both excellence and security. 2 years later, I received an unexpected phone call that would bring everything full circle. The voice on the other end belonged to Marcus Stevens, CEO of Pinnacle Consulting Group, one of the firms that had been implicated in the espionage network that had targeted my work at Morrison Associates. His company had been struggling to rebuild their reputation following the federal convictions, and he was calling with an offer that both shocked and amused me. Marcus explained that Pinnacle was seeking to hire me as their chief analytics officer, offering a compensation package that exceeded my current salary by nearly double, along with equity stakes and complete autonomy over their analytical methodologies and security protocols. The irony was overwhelming, considering that his firm had once been stealing my work and attempting to undermine my career through systematic surveillance and corporate espionage operations. My response was polite but firm. I explained that my commitment to Morrison Associates went far beyond financial compensation, encompassing professional loyalty, ethical alignment, and the satisfaction of building something meaningful with colleagues who had ultimately supported my success despite initial misunderstandings. The conversation lasted only 10 minutes, but it crystallized everything I had learned about the difference between opportunistic career advancement and authentic professional fulfillment. David Chen, who had become one of my closest collaborators and strongest advocates, joined me for lunch that afternoon when I shared the details of Marcus's call. His reaction was immediate laughter, followed by genuine appreciation for my loyalty to Morrison and Associates, and recognition of how much our working relationship had evolved from those early days of tension and misunderstanding about productivity measurement and professional commitment. Our conversation shifted to planning the upcoming expansion of our enhanced analytics division into European markets, where American consulting firms with proven security capabilities were increasingly valued by multinational corporations concerned about protecting strategic planning from sophisticated competitive intelligence operations. The international expansion represented validation of everything we had built together, combining analytical excellence with comprehensive security awareness in ways that provided exceptional client value. The productivity tracking methodology that had once been my private tool for documenting work hours had evolved into a comprehensive consulting service that Morrison & Associates now offered to other firms seeking to optimize performance while maintaining security protocols. The licensing revenue from our proprietary tracking system had grown to represent 15% of our total annual income, creating financial stability that supported continued innovation and strategic investment in advanced analytical capabilities. Linda Washington approached me that evening with news that Harvard Business School had invited me to teach a graduate seminar on consulting security and productivity optimization, offering a visiting professor position that would allow me to maintain my Morrison & Associates responsibilities while contributing to academic research and professional education. The opportunity represented recognition that extended beyond our regional market into national consulting education and industry development. My decision to accept the Harvard invitation reflected confidence in the systems and teams we had built at Morrison & Associates, knowing that our enhanced analytics division could continue thriving under the collaborative leadership structure that David and I had established. The academic appointment would create additional opportunities for recruiting exceptional graduates while advancing research in areas that could benefit the entire consulting industry. The farewell conversation with the cleaning crew member who had worked in our building during those late nights when I first discovered the surveillance operation reminded me of how many people had been quietly observing and supporting my work, even when formal recognition was limited. His simple comment about always seeing my office light on during his rounds had provided early validation that my commitment was visible to those who paid attention to consistent effort rather than social participation. The final meeting of our crisis response team included comprehensive review of everything Morrison & Associates had accomplished since the espionage discovery. From enhanced security protocols and record financial performance, to industry leadership and expanded market presence that exceeded our most optimistic projections. The transformation had been remarkable, turning a serious threat into competitive advantage through analytical excellence and strategic response. Standing in the conference room where I had once faced skeptical questions about my professional commitment, surrounded by colleagues who now viewed me as both analytical leader and security expert, I reflected on how completely the situation had transformed through persistence, evidence-based demonstration of value, and the courage to investigate suspicious patterns rather than accepting surface-level explanations for workplace challenges. The productivity tracking app continued running silently on my computer, documenting another week of exceptional performance, while providing ongoing insights about optimization opportunities and security awareness that supported both individual excellence and organizational success. The data had become less important for proving my commitment and more valuable for continuous improvement and strategic planning that enhanced Morrison Associates' competitive positioning. The industry recognition that had resulted from exposing corporate espionage while maintaining analytical excellence had created a professional legacy that extended far beyond individual career advancement into lasting contributions to consulting security and productivity optimization that would benefit future generations of analytical professionals facing similar challenges in competitive business environments. David's evolution from skeptical manager to collaborative partner represented one of the most rewarding aspects of the entire experience, demonstrating that professional relationships could be transformed through mutual respect, objective evidence, and shared commitment to organizational success that transcended initial misunderstandings about optimal work approaches and performance evaluation criteria. The Harvard appointment would begin in 6 months, providing time to complete the European expansion project, while ensuring smooth transition of responsibilities to colleagues who had been instrumental in building our enhanced analytics division into the industry-leading organization that attracted acquisition interest and academic recognition, while maintaining the analytical excellence and security awareness that defined our competitive advantage. My final reflection on the journey from questioned commitment to industry leadership emphasized the importance of maintaining objective documentation of professional contribution, while staying focused on delivering exceptional value for clients and colleagues, regardless of immediate recognition or external validation. The productivity tracking app had provided crucial evidence, but the real foundation of success had been consistent analytical excellence and genuine commitment to organizational objectives. The story that had begun with doubts about my dedication had concluded with industry recognition, academic appointment, and the satisfaction of transforming workplace challenges into competitive advantages that benefited not only my individual career but also Morrison & Associates' market position and the broader consulting industry's approach to security and productivity optimization. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.